Hi guys, in this video I am going to talk about capsular lesion and upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron lesions. Firstly, capsular lesion. See this diagram. In this diagram, these are the corticospinal tracts, descending fibers. After making corona radiata in the subcortical region, this is cortex and this is the subcortical region. In the internal capsule, particularly in the posterior limb, all these fibers will converge in a narrow area. See here, they are converging. So, if any disease that will damage this internal capsule will also result in complete damage to the corticospinal tract. If this area, posterior limb, is damaged, then there is complete loss of corticospinal tract. Again, this results in contralateral hemiplegia. I will discuss later. See this diagram so that you will get a better picture. Okay. Now, what happens in capsular lesions is capsular lesion. Now, there is complete interruption of corticospinal tract. Same, if this is damaged, in this area, all the fibers are converging, then these fibers will also damage. Simple. There is complete interruption of corticospinal tract. Now, second point. This complete interruption of corticospinal tract results in contralateral hemiplegia. Plegia means paralysis of muscle. Hemi means half. Contralateral means opposite side. Simple. This results in paralysis of muscles on the opposite side of the body. Say this is right side. If this internal capsule is damaged, which results in damage to the right side of the corticospinal tract, will result in contralateral paralysis of this muscle. This motor neuron supplied to the muscles, right? They will become paralyzed. So you can see that this lateral corticospinal tract crosses in the medulla region only, and this anterior corticospinal tract will also crosses at the spinal cord level. So the final conclusion is the right corticospinal tracts will supply the opposite side of the body, will supply the muscles on the opposite side of the body, no matter where they cross over the midline, but finally they will reach the opposite side of the body, results in contralateral hemiplegia. Okay. In addition to the damage to the corticospinal tracts, there is also damage to the extrapyramidal tract. That is, extrapyramidal tracts like ascending fibers from basal ganglia and cerebellum will also damage. Okay. Extrapyramidal tracts like ascending fibers from the basal ganglia and cerebellum will also damage ascending fibers. Okay. Now, third point. If internal capsule is damaged, then there is complete loss of corticospinal tract. Means complete damage to the upper motor neuron. That is complete damage to upper motor neuron. Okay. Now, what is the cause for this capsular lesion? cause, first you should know the blood supply of internal capsule. I will draw one diagram. Now this is internal capsule. You know the parts: anterior limb, genu, and posterior limb. Now you should know the blood supply of the posterior limb. It is supplied by the lenticulostriate branch of middle cerebral artery or Charcot's artery. If you know the circle of Willis, then idea will become better. Now you know this is basilar artery, divides into posterior cerebral artery, and then you know this is internal carotid. As it runs vertically, that's why I am drawing the cross section. This is the posterior communicating branch, and from this anterior cerebral artery, this is the anterior communicating branch. Now this is the middle cerebral artery. Therefore the branches arising from the middle cerebral artery will supply the posterior limb. See, simple. Okay, if now let me label: basilar artery, posterior cerebral artery, middle cerebral artery, anterior cerebral artery, anterior communicating branch, posterior communicating branch. Of course this side also posterior communicating branch. Now these are lenticulostriate branches. This is middle cerebral artery. Therefore if there is any rupture of this artery, rupture results in diminished blood supply to the posterior limb. You know, corticospinal tract converge in the posterior limb, then this will also damaged. If posterior limb is damaged, then corticospinal tract will also damaged. So this results in contralateral hemiplegia. This completes the capsular lesion. Now I will discuss the upper motor neuron lesion and lower motor neuron lesion. Now upper motor neuron lesion and lower motor neuron lesion. I will discuss the features of both simultaneously, okay, so that you can compare both of them. Now first point, muscle size. What happens to the muscle size in upper motor neuron lesion and lower motor neuron lesion? Now you know, upper motor neuron lesion, lower motor neuron lesion. Now a size of the muscle will decrease, means atrophy, when either blood supply or nerve supply is completely damaged. In upper motor neuron lesion, see, this is muscle, okay. In upper motor neuron lesion, this will be damaged. This nerve, upper motor neuron, will be damaged, but there is intact lower motor neuron supply to this muscle. Therefore there is no atrophy. Atrophy occurs in which condition? Either blood supply or nerve supply to the muscle is completely damaged, but here there is intact lower motor neuron supply even though this upper motor neuron is damaged. So no atrophy of muscles. But in lower motor neuron lesion, this lower motor neuron is damaged and this upper motor neuron is remains intact. But see here, if this is damaged, total nerve supply to this muscle is damaged. Therefore there is atrophy of muscle. Atrophy. This muscle will shrink. Okay. This muscle will shrink. Now, what happens to the paralysis? Which type of paralysis will occur in both? Paralysis. This diagram. Usually, this descending fiber will inhibit the gamma motor neuron, where gamma motor neuron supplies the peripheral part of this muscle spindle inside this muscle. Okay. Now, if the function of gamma motor neuron is contraction of this peripheral part of the muscle spindle. If peripheral part of the muscle spindle is contracted, then it distorts the endings of this type 1A afferent fibers. The sensory stimulus, that is stretch, the sensory stimulus is carried by the type 1A afferent fibers, and they end directly on the cell body of the alpha motor neuron. Therefore, stimulation of gamma motor neuron causes contraction of peripheral part of the intrafusal fibers or muscle spindle. This causes the distortion of this endings of type 1A afferent fibers. This distortion stimulus is carried to the alpha motor neuron. Therefore, this in turn terminates directly on the cell body of alpha motor neuron. This alpha motor neuron causes contraction of this muscle, that is extrafusal fibers. Okay, normal contractile fibers. Now, if there is in upper motor neuron lesion, there is damage to this nerve. Therefore, there are no nerves to inhibit this gamma motor neuron. Therefore, the activity of gamma motor neuron will increase. This in turn results in the contraction of this muscle, that is spastic paralysis. Okay, the muscles will contract too much, spastic paralysis, and it remains same in the paralyzed state. In lower motor neuron lesion, the gamma motor neuron is damaged. If gamma motor neuron is damaged, then there is no contraction of peripheral part of muscle spindle. Then there is no stimulation of this type 1A afferent fibers. Then there is no stimulation of alpha motor neuron. Finally, there is no contraction of muscle. Okay, the muscle become loose. Therefore, this seen in this lower motor neuron type of lesion, there is flaccid paralysis. Okay, sweet. Now, what happens to the tendon reflexes in the upper motor neuron lesion and lower motor neuron lesion? In upper motor neuron lesion, this is the descending fiber, and this is the gamma motor neuron, and this is the muscle. Usually, descending fibers will inhibit the gamma motor neuron. In upper motor neuron lesion occurs here. If descending fiber is damaged, then there are no neurons to inhibit the gamma motor neuron. What happens? The sensitivity of this muscle will increase, results in exaggerated tendon reflexes. In lower motor neuron lesion, same, this descending fibers will inhibit the gamma motor neuron. Lesion occurs here. What happens? The gamma motor neuron is damaged. Then there is decreased activity of gamma motor neuron. Then there is decreased sensitivity of this muscle. What happens? Diminished tendon reflexes are seen in lower motor neuron lesion. Now, next. What happens to the superficial reflexes? Remember, in both upper motor neuron lesion and lower motor neuron lesion, superficial reflexes are absent. See this simple diagram. These are abdominal muscles. The superficial reflexes are abdominal reflexes and cremasteric reflexes. Like that it continues. These are the abdominal muscles, and if superficial surface of the abdomen is touched by some object, then sensory information is carried to the CNS. Then the motor response is the contraction of abdominal muscle. Slight contraction occurs. If lesion is here, upper motor neuron lesion, then this pathway is disturbed. Now there is no abdominal reflex. If lesion is here, that is lower motor neuron lesion, then also this pathway is disturbed. Then also there is no abdominal reflex. Usually the pathway is not simple as this one. I have written this for the simplicity sake. Usually the pathway involves polysynaptic pathway. Babinski's sign. In normal individual, stroking of foot results in the plantar flexion of the foot. That means flexion of the digits. But in neurological disorder, stroking of foot results in the dorsiflexion of the foot. That means the digits will become extended. This is called positive Babinski's sign. See this diagram. Stroking of foot. Sensory information goes to the CNS. Through descending fibers, these are descending fibers, motor information is carried. Descending fibers end in the extensor motor neuron and flexor motor neuron. Usually descending fibers inhibit the extensor motor neuron, which results in the inhibition of extensor muscles of the digits of limb. And descending fibers activates the flexor motor neuron, which results in the flexion of digits of limb. In upper motor neuron lesion occurs here, upper motor neuron lesion. Then there are no neurons to inhibit the extensor motor neuron, and there are no neurons to activate this flexor motor neuron. What happens? So flexion of digits will be depressed and extension of digits will be activated. This results in extension of digits. That means dorsiflexion of the foot because of the activation of extensor motor neuron, because there are no descending fibers to inhibit this extensor motor neuron. Okay. In lower motor neuron lesion, if lesion is occurred here, then there is no Babinski's sign because there is no extension of the digits of limb. Usually we get the normal results like plantar flexion. So in upper motor neuron lesion there is positive Babinski's sign, and in lower motor neuron lesion there is negative Babinski's sign. So finally I will summarize what I discussed in this table. Some additional points are also added. Just remember them. Size of the muscle. What happens in upper motor neuron lesion? Size of the muscle, there is no atrophy because lower motor neuron remains intact. In lower motor neuron lesion, size of the muscle decreases. There is atrophy. Okay. Now, muscles affected. In this, the muscles affected are in group. In this, particular muscle will be affected. A particular muscle is affected. Okay, individual muscle is affected in the lower motor neuron lesion. Now, individual type of paralysis. In upper motor neuron lesion there is spastic paralysis. In lower motor neuron lesion there is flaccid. I have explained this one. This is tendon reflexes in upper motor neuron lesion exaggerated. In lower motor neuron lesion, there is diminished tendon reflex, or even tendon reflexes are absent. Diminished or absent. Okay. Now, superficial reflexes. In both these two are absent. I'll explain this. Absent. Babinski's sign. In the upper motor neuron lesion, Babinski's sign is positive. In lower motor neuron lesion, Babinski's chain is negative. There is normal plantar flexion. If remember, if flexor motor neuron is damaged, then there is no flexion or extension at all. Okay. Positive. Here, normal flexor reflex, that is plantar flexion. Okay. Now, involuntary movements. Involuntary movement in the upper motor neuron is absent, but it is present in the lower motor neuron, like twitches. What? Involuntary movements are like twitches. What is the change in electromyogram in upper motor neuron lesion? The electromyogram change is there is no denervation potential, but in the lower motor neuron lesion there is denervation potential in the electromyogram. No denervation potential. Denervation potential. Because the lower motor neurons are completely damaged. There is no nerve supply to the motor neuron supply to the muscles. Nerve conduction not affected. No abnormalities. But here, as the lower motor neurons are damaged, there is abnormal nerve conduction or decreased nerve conduction. Okay. Now, this completes upper motor neuron lesion and lower motor neuron lesion. Thank you. Like, share and subscribe.